Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn. I am joined by my lovely wife, Margaret.
Hi, everybody.
And also by
our wonderful
little Max.
Yeah, our wonderful dog, Max.
Dog?
Well,
already blown it. Why is Max here?
Well, let me just say a few things about
sure,
Max.
Sure.
So Max, we get a lot of requests to see Max because you often hear or see us reacting to the smells that Max produces under the table, which is usually where he camps out while we're filming. But today we wanted to give the viewers, by popular demand, a chance to see Max in his full glory, and we also thought it was appropriate to have Max on the show today because a nickname that A nickname that I like to call Max is Pygmy Squatch. And you may be like, Pygmy Squatch. For the uninitiated, a Squatch is the nickname of a Sasquatch. So that is actually what today's show is about. Beers related to all various types of squatchery. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to take this opportunity to show the world my little pygmy Squatch, who's actually falling asleep in Chris's arms right now. I think he could get used to this. He kind of prefers this. And at least he's not licking his paws.
Yes, agreed. So yeah, the show is about Margaret's love for Yetis. Let's be real. It's not about Sasquatch beers. It's about Margaret loves Yetis and Bigfoots and is crazy about them. So we have a plethora of Sasquatch, Yeti-related beers, and we also own a Pygmy Squatch. So we figured we would have him on the show.
Tie it all together, and I am representing with my Yeti Hugs, free Yeti Hugs T-shirt that Chris picked up for me for Christmas.
Yes, so thanks to Hannah at Great Divide Brewing for sending me that shirt. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
It was a Christmas present for Margaret.
Yes, it was. So, the Pygmy Squatch looks very comfy, but he might have to say goodbye.
Okay.
Or I guess I could just start cracking and pouring.
I guess I could set him down.
Yeah, well, I think let's talk through the beers and also kind of talk about, squatchery as we go.
Okay, so basically, Margaret is, in my language, crazy. A crazy person who is obsessed with Bigfoot.
Obsessed is a strong
cryptozoology.
Word. That's a strong word.
I open up my TiVo and see Monster Quest and Finding Bigfoot and... Yeah, what's the name of the main scientist on Finding Bigfoot? What's his name?
Oh, Bobo.
Bobo the scientist.
He's a field researcher. He doesn't claim to be a scientist, but he does often stand in for the Squatches in recreations.
We got a wall Squatch in our hands here.
He does often stand in for Squatch, during recreations because he's about 6'3" or something like that, and quite a large man.
All right, so I'm gonna let the pygmy down.
All right, shall I jump out of the way?
Well, I was gonna set him down over this way.
You did well, Max.
Yeah.
All right. So there's your Max, your dose of Max for the next.
I'm gonna sit back a little further because I didn't realize if I sit forward, I'm gonna be cut off.
All right.
Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just zoom out a little bit. There, good enough.
So let's get into the beer.
Let's get into the beers first and foremost. So yeah, these are just beers that we have little by little collected over time. I'm just noticing the dirtiness of our glasses. I'm sorry. That are related to. First of all, I'm surprised how many Bigfoot beers there are.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was reading a little bit about that original Bigfoot, the famous Bigfoot. Got a squash hair on you. Thing of the man in the suit walking down the street or whatever.
Right.
Those researchers were from Yakima, Washington, one of the big hop growing regions.
Right.
I'm sure that has nothing to do with why there's so many beers.
And they were also up in Northern California, which, well, we're going to San Francisco in a few weeks, so we'll be in Squatch territory. It's very squatchy out there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be on the lookout.
Yeah. I mean, you might read about us in the papers when we discover a Squatch. Mm-hmm. So the first is Big Muddy Monster from Muddy Brewing, right? Muddy Brewing Company. Yeah. I hear a Squatch call from the other room. Yeah.
Yes. So these guys are from down in Murfreesboro, Illinois, which is down in southern Illinois. just a really actually kind of a new brewery. They just started brewing in 2009. It was a local businessman down there who always kind of had a love for brewing and was a home brewer. And
I mean, you hear it time and time and time
exactly,
again.
right. Kind of that tried and true story. He eventually kind of made that hobby into a business, and they're down there brewing down in Southern Illinois. The funny story behind this beer, and it's called the Big Muddy Monster, and as you can probably see, there's the money shot right there. The Big Muddy Monster, in 1973, there was a rash of sightings of this creature that was kind of creeping around the Big Muddy River down there in Southern Illinois. And throughout the town, people were seeing it, and police were chasing it all over the town, and then it kind of faded back into I guess, the third dimension or wherever these creatures live. So that's why the beer is named what it is, the Big Muddy Monster.
Sorry, I just want to make sure there's not literally just soap sitting in here. But, whatever, we'll see.
There could be.
If they're all soapy, they're all soapy. So another little caveat to this beer. I gave this beer to Margaret for Christmas, and she showed me her love through never drinking it until I forced her to have this show. Cheers to our love. So, no, I mean, more than that, I don't know. This is an India Brown Ale, which isn't a true style, but I'm assuming from the name it's going to be somewhat hoppy. This is an aged beer, so, I don't really think we should give this view a
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We need to keep that in mind as we're tasting. So yeah, just really dark brown, some hints of red in it as well. Actually, not just hints. I mean, there's some significant
like a
red
ruby
tinge
color,
in
very
there,
clear, kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of like dark resinous hop character.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't know how big and bright it was ever, but it does. It's.
Yeah, it's
kind of darker, and you definitely get some chocolate from the malt as well underneath it.
Yeah, I gotta say, it smells pretty good. I also get some cola notes out of it. Like an herbaceous cola or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The hop character, I think, has died out a bit, but not horribly.
No. So yeah, I think I totally agree with you. Like that chocolate that we were getting on the nose really comes through.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of chocolate character, some graininess to it. Still quite a bit of bitterness, and might be soapiness. Do you get a soapiness in it as well? Something that's kind of coating your mouth, like a oiliness, a slickness to it as well. I mean, it literally might be the glasses. They're covered in soap powder.
Okay.
But
well, it could be, but I'm not really getting a soapiness out of it. I get some bitterness out of it, but I'm not getting soap necessarily.
Okay.
I think you might be a little paranoid about it.
no, there's a slickness, there's an oiliness to it as well. We'll call it that.
But I think this is actually a pretty good beer, and I think considering that it's been sitting in our refrigerator for 6 months or so, I think it
like
really
it.
stood up pretty nicely.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go 88 with it. I'd like to see a little bit more hop brightness, but I think the bite is there. I think the malt character is really nice, and I think overall it's a pretty solid beer.
Yeah, I have to
So I
agree.
said I wasn't going to rate it, but I did.
Yeah, it's true. I'll go with you on 88. Yeah, I think it's just really solid beer. So if you are down in Southern Illinois, check out Big Muddy Monster and get it
India
fresh.
style brown ale.
Yeah, get it fresh and let us know if you agree or disagree with it.
And on the front, it's got that kind of famous Yeti pose.
I already
on there.
talked about that. It's the money shot.
Yeah. Oh, is that what the money shot is?
The
Okay.
Patterson film.
Okay, so. Okay. Was Bobo in that one? Okay. So, what's the next one, Margot? I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I don't know what is
Oh.
it. Oh, Sierra Nevada. I can't see the front. Sierra Nevada, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Yes, barley wine. And that was in 2011. Is that what I saw?
2012.
2012. Sorry about that.
Just came out a couple months ago. Man, probably the archetype American barley wine, that or Old Foghorn from Anchor. Been brewed since the early 80s, and it's really a big kind of hoppy barley wine. Very, it sets standard for the American style barley wine rather than the English style. So, yeah.
And again, we are going out to California in a few weeks, and we will be visiting Sierra Nevada for sure, even though that's not necessarily Northern California, but we will be out there.
And I can't remember if we've had this on the show before. We didn't have a show where we had this.
It's not ringing
Probably
any
not.
bells for
Yeah.
me. Although we're getting up there. So it's hard.
No,
to
we had a barley wine show, and it was Old Crustacean. It was J.W. Lee's. It was Behemoth, and there was another, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Meh. It might not have been this one. So anyway, brilliantly clear. Yet again, another style of beer or another way that Sierra Nevada is kind of setting the standard.
I'll have to correct you on that. I think it's Yeti again.
So anyway, the smell is got a slight yetiness to it, a bit squatchy, a little bit of Bigfootitude. Again, a copper, brilliant, like red,
Yeah.
like a straight up red beer.
Yeah.
Big fluffy, kind of a yellow colored
Yeah. Like a
head to it.
Yeah, kind of pale yellow. Looks like
Yeah.
like flour that's been cooked a little bit or something like that.
Really nice looking beer, and a lot of hops, a lot of the kind of classic American hops. So not those big tropical ones, but more of the big pine, big wood, resinous flavors that I expect from those Galena, Willamette styles.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very nice.
And I do smell booze in this too. Do you happen to know the ABV on this?
It's a bigger one. I think it's about 8%.
Yeah.
Let's look. 9.6%.
Yeah, you can definitely smell. You get the the heat.
Yeah, you get the heat. You get a little bit of a little kind of a floral character to it. Some malt as well, toffee character.
I already had a taste.
I'm getting a weird kind of like salty pretzel, like a soft pretzel character to it, like a baked soft pretzel.
Really?
Like baked bread, but like a salty baked bread with a little bit of like a crust.
Okay.
It smells, which I like.
Yeah,
but-
which I love. Yeah, it's. I think this is just an excellent beer. The taste is so nice. Just very complex. You get some sweetness in it, but you do get a lot of bitterness, especially on the back end. As I'm talking, I'm really getting that bitterness, and I really get the alcohol on it as well. I mean, you can tell you're drinking a big beer with this.
Yeah, so this beer came out about 3 months ago. I think the 3 months have done it well. I've had a couple of them when it first came out, and it's pretty harsh. It's still a little harsh on the back end.
Yeah.
This beer, I think it could easily go a year and still be quite bitter. Probably go 2-3 people. Keep this beer for decades. Ken Grossman himself usually likes to drink it fresh or young, not necessarily fresh, but about a year old, 6 months old, something like that. And I'll take his word for it, but I think the 3 months have really done it well.
Yeah.
It's very, very round. Tons of malt in there.
Yeah.
I mean, huge kind of malt component, but equally massive bitterness.
Right.
Massive amounts of hop, but I think unlike that kind of hop 15 from port that we had on here, there's enough malt to kind of balance out this huge attack of hops here.
Yeah.
I mean, this beer has, I would say, a higher IBU than your typical IPA or double IPA. I mean, there's a lot of bitterness in here, but I think the kind of chewy malt works very well with the kind of piney American style hops, and I like it a lot. I'm going to go 91 on this one.
Yeah, I'll go a little higher. I'll go 92. I mean, this
seems up your alley, more up your alley.
Well, it is called Bigfoot. So.
And on this one, we've got a prospector looking down at Bigfoot tracks, and then you see the Bigfoot hiding in the forest.
Good Bigfoot scene then that you painted for me there.
Yeah, accurate. Probably more accurate than the Big Muddy, where he's holding a Bigfoot-sized hop vine and a mug of beer.
The Bigfoot.
Which could happen, but this is more likely. This is probably more historically accurate.
Yeah, it's science fact. That's from a nature book, basically. That's what this is from. Someday, people. Someday. Okay, Little Joss. So there's a lot of funny things going on with this.
So this is the Sasquatch Stout, although it has a Yeti on here. I mean, let's be real. It's white. A white Sasquatch is a Yeti. Am I right?
I think you're right. I've also heard that when they age, they turn white.
Ah,
Just like humans.
Okay, yeah. So this is Lil Jaws from Pangea Brewing. Some of the funny things you're talking about.
No, okay, so the reason I think it's funny, Lil Jaw obviously is funny to me. That's what I think of a Lil Jaw. And then this is this Sand Creek Brewing? I've been trying to figure out who the heck makes this beer. I think it's Sand Creek up in Black River Falls, I think, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's brewed by Sand Creek Brewing. They do a lot of contract brewing.
Okay, then maybe that's what it is. I just had a hard time kind of tracking down.
So it's Pangea Brewing. Lil Jaw is probably the name of the label, and it's contracted out to Sand Creek.
Right. So
if you go to PangeaBrewing.com, I mean, they might be great guys. One of the worst websites I've ever been to. And I don't mean brewing website. I just mean website.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it was, like I said, I was trying to get some information about this beer and the brewery and et cetera, and it was just really difficult. So, hey guys, fix up your website there, because... Yeah,
7% alcohol beer here. The one thing I like, they say brewed from behind the cheddar curtain, which means Wisconsin.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, of course.
So now we're getting into the stouts here.
It's a very squatchy beer, really a stout, you know.
If you were a squatch, you'd drink a stout.
Well, I might drink that Sierra Nevada barley wine, but yeah, you know, the dark colors.
That was foresty and piney.
True, yeah. Reminded me of my home.
So now you're a squatch. Okay. Remind you of your home.
You said if I was a squatch.
Oh.
All right. So this beer is almost black. I mean, this is a very dark color.
Very dark brown beer.
Very dark
at the edges. It's also clear, though. You know, you get some nice kind of brown highlights. And even at the edges, it's almost kind of like a caramel colored.
Yeah.
A little bit of head, not too much. But, you know, kind of light brown colored head. A tan head, really, is what it is.
Yeah. Ooh. It smells good. I mean, I was gonna say mocha when we were talking about sort of the
more like
color of that
espresso in here. I'm getting a lot of kind of dark, bittersweet chocolates, some roast coffee.
Yeah, like
I'm getting a tiny bit of the meatiness. Go on.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say bittersweet chocolate and coffee. To me, that again goes back to mocha. But almost like I do get a burnt quality out of it as well. Not offensive, but you know, definitely some like heavy dark roast in this.
Yeah, like ashy almost.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good way to put it, ashy. But yeah, like I said, not unpleasant.
No hop character whatsoever. Yeah.
So I get that ashy big time on the taste. In like the, God, it's gonna sound so dorky, like mid palate, I guess, or something like that. Like, not on the back end, but like kind of like right in the middle of your sip, you get that.
Yeah,
ashy.
the first thing you notice, I think, is it's pretty creamy. It's got a pretty full mouthfeel for how relatively light it is. I mean, it's really not that dark of a stout if you look at it, you know. Compared to certainly like the next one that we're gonna see, I would guess. But it's very creamy. It's got a little bit of like a bittersweet chocolate, not quite dark, but a little bit of sweetness in it, and then you kind of get that ashy flavor to it. And at the end, there is a decent amount of bitterness to it as well. Probably some of that is from the roast, if not most of it is from the roast. Can give a beer bitterness, but there's some hop bitterness in here to balance it out.
Yeah.
Pretty well balanced beer. I mean, it's a good beer. I mean, it's a decent beer.
It's decent.
It doesn't wow me. There's nothing wrong with it.
That ashiness is turning me off.
Okay.
But it's nothing. It's decent. But I don't like that kind of smokiness that I'm getting.
Smoky.
Yeah.
Smoky is a good way to put it. It definitely has a little bit of a smoke component to it. I don't mind it. I'll go 88 with this one as well. I like it as much as the Big Muddy.
I like it a little less than the Big Muddy. I'll have to say like 87, 86. I mean, I know it's just splitting hairs at that point, but yeah. I mean, just a little bit of that smoke is turning me off.
Okay. Cool. Here, I got it.
And last but not least, the shirt, Yeti, Great Divide, out in Denver, Colorado.
Yep. This is their Imperial Stout. They've got a whole bunch of different versions for it. They've got a oak aged. They've got an espresso Yeti. They've got the regular Yeti, which is I believe the one we have here, right? Yeah, just the Yeti. Mm-hmm. I figured that'd be a good one. This is from the one of the more recent batches. This is from October 2011. So still, plenty good for a Imperial Stout, and should be interesting. I mean, this is they put out some good beers. So
thank you.
now that is a black beer.
That's true.
I mean, even pouring, you can barely see through it.
Yeah, you're right.
You can see the viscosity. A dark brown head. I mean, it's like dark brown sugar.
It looks like milk chocolate or something to me, cocoa, like hot cocoa.
Right. I mean, now jet black. When you hold it up to the light, you can't even see the highlights at the edge.
Yeah, you're
Just
right.
completely black beer. Really nice. Look how it also coats the glass.
It looks great.
Really thick.
Yeah. This is definitely the kind of beer you want to have on like a cold winter's day or something like that, or winter's night.
So this is more of a Abominable Snowman than a Bigfoot beer. Bigfoot is out in the woods.
If I'm in the Himalayas hanging with the Sherpas, what do I want to drink? Probably this. Oh, well, actually, I haven't even had it yet.
Yeti.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. And they also have the same picture, although not with anything. I mean, he's not holding a hop or a beer bottle. I mean, this is truly the most accurate one.
You're right, it is.
Now, is a Yeti a Sasquatch?
Yes.
Is that the same thing?
They're all the same animal, just different types of names. Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti. There's, swamp things. Skunk ape. Skunk ape lives in Florida.
Of course, the skunk ape.
All right.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you could probably keep rattling them off, but you chose to stop.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what about the Asian ones?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's not go there. But I actually get a lot of fruitiness out of
I'm getting a little
beer.
skunk ape in it.
You'd know if you got skunk ape. They're notoriously smelly. No, but do you get fruitiness out of this?
Yeah, I do. I get a lot of dried fruit, almost like a dried raspberry or dried blueberry, like dried berries.
Yeah. And I wasn't anticipating that because of the style of beer, the Imperial Stout. It's just not something I would expect. But it's not the dried raisins or raisins are dry, but not any of that. But I think you're exactly right. Kind of like a juicy blueberry or cherry or something like that. Raspberry, you said.
You're also getting much more of a kind of that meaty, savory scent to it as well, and also just big dark flavors. But I'm not specifically getting any coffee. I'm not specifically getting any chocolate.
No. Like I said, I mean, fruit is actually really kind of hammering me over the head, which is really odd. The taste on this, I don't really get the fruit. Do you get the fruit?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Try another sip.
I do. Intensely viscous, really thick. Just kind of coats your mouth. It's got a lot of like a chalky baker's chocolate quality to it, and then I do get fruit in there as well, almost like a dark chocolate where they have some fruit in it, like a raspberry or something like that.
I get the baker's chocolate thing. I totally get that. I'm missing the fruit on the taste, but I mean, just based on the nose and based on the, I guess, chocolate analogies we're using here or descriptions, I definitely think this is a dessert beer. Having this with something with like chocolate and raspberry in a dessert would be just about perfect.
Or cocoa.
Yeah.
I'm getting like a cocoa powder element to it. A good amount of stringency on the back end. It's kind of drying. It finishes pretty clean and dry with bitterness. So I'm getting kind of bitter chocolate and kind of a nice clean hop bitterness as well. No real hop flavor.
No, I didn't get any.
Maybe a little. Maybe a little hop flavor.
See, I don't know. I'm having trouble distinguishing it from, kind of the bitterness of the chocolate.
Some of the fruitiness coming from the hops or from the esters.
Right.
But I like it. I like this beer. I'm probably going to go 91 with this beer.
Okay.
I like it about as much as the Bigfoot. I like it.
I'll go 90. I mean, I like it. I like the Bigfoot better. But yeah, this is really good. I mean, there's not much wrong with it. But there's not also anything that I'm like incredibly excited about either. And again, this one is boozy. I mean, I can already feel it kind of flushing my face a little bit. Although that might just be sheer embarrassment because of all the Yeti jokes.
Yeah, it's 9.5% alcohol. So these are, all some pretty big beers. Even this one's 6.5%, which isn't a slouch.
Right.
And there you go. Yeah, I mean, I like really all 4 of these beers are good. These 2 I liked a little bit more.
Right.
But these 2 I also thought were enjoyable.
Yeah.
There you go. If there's any other Yeti beers out there, I often say, let me know. Really let me know. Because I want to get these beers.
No, really let me know.
Yeah, let you know. So we can maybe do a Yeti Beers Part 2. Anything else you would like to add to some of your fellow believers? Or do you consider yourself like Bobo says, I'm not a, what's he say?
Oh, gosh.
I'm not a believer, I'm a knower.
I'm a knower. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, just my only comment is we oftentimes hear people comment to the show and they say, I want to know more about you and Chris. I want to know, kind of what you guys are into on a personal level.
That reminds me.
And be careful what you wish for, because this might be the kind of stuff this is the kind of stuff that we're into that you may not want to know about. So
flip that reverse. We're into?
I'm into.
Yeah. And then someone else had wanted to know about my ring, and they kept asking me why I wear my ring on my right hand. I think I told you ahead of time, or a while back, I'm like, someone's going to notice this. And the reason is because, I'm not going to officially say I'm married to you. No, I'm kidding. That was mean, and I'm kidding.
No.
No. I'm just left-handed, and I prefer it. It fits a little better on this hand. I used to wear it on the left, and I chose to wear it on the right. Is that a good enough answer?
Yeah, and he asked me if I cared, and I said, I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm like, do you care? Because some other people are like, well, that means you're a widower. Or, are you from Europe? Or that's for gay people. I've heard all those.
Really?
Yeah, but I actually looked it up online, and it means nothing.
Good.
Yeah. So there you have it. TMI in many, many ways, but you got to see our little pygmy squatch, and you got to hear Margaret's insane ramblings about Yetis, or swamp skunk, or all those other things. But regardless of how ridiculous that stuff is, the beers that those things produce are quite good.
Yes.
And hey, believers and non-believers alike can all enjoy a good beer or a relationship here, But that's about it for us, guys. Thanks, as always, for watching us. I think we're off to Dark Lord Day in a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have some footage from that. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not.
That's right.
And that's about it. We've got a heck of a lot of beer to drink.
Right.
And hopefully you do too.
And the Yetis.